You're listening to the How to Talk to Girls podcast with your dating coach, Tripp, from trippadvice.com. Do you struggle with getting girls to like you? Well, you're going to learn step-by-step how to talk to girls to create deep connections and meet the woman of your dreams. Here's your host, me, Tripp. Hey, and welcome to the How to Talk to Girls podcast. This is your host, Tripp Kramer, from trippadvice.com. And if you're listening to this on the YouTube channel, by the way, I just want to say thanks for listening. If this is something that would be more convenient for you to listen to on the podcast, then check out the links below and subscribe to the podcast in Stitcher or in iTunes. But hey, if you like listening to it on YouTube, that's fine too. I just want to give this as an option to all the people who follow TrippAdvice content. You know, I'm trying to put out more stuff more frequently and disperse it through all the different channels as possible to try to reach as big of an audience. But either way, this podcast will always 100% of the time be hosted on the Stitcher website, Stitcher app, and iTunes software, and the podcast app on your iPhone if you have it. But either way, glad I'm putting it out there on YouTube as well. Now, today's episode, we are going to be talking about the benefits of a long-term relationship. So this is for the guys out there who may not be in a long-term relationship yet. But of course, if you're listening and you are in a long-term relationship, well, this will help you as well. And this is going to be coming from personal experience. You know, I bet you can type into Google benefits of a long-term relationship, and I'm sure you'll find a lot of scientific studies done on them. You'll maybe even find blog posts written on them, maybe even YouTube videos that are created on them. But this is going to be more personal experience and less studying and finding things. The only thing I do know in terms of studies that have been done is that there have been studies that have shown that married people do live longer. I'm not sure the reason why. You can check that out if you want to. But that was an interesting thing that I saw. But either way, I'm not even just talking about marriages. I'm talking about long-term relationships, even in the girlfriend sense before you guys get married, even maybe before you guys move in together. You know, there's some things that I believe are the benefits. Now, again, this is, completely up to you in terms of what type of relationship you want. I'm not convincing you in this podcast to get into a long-term relationship. I don't think anyone should be convinced to do that. It should be something that you want, but I'm just going to be sharing with you some of the benefits that I've noticed in a long-term relationship and what I've noticed in other people's long-term relationships, and just share with you from more personal experiences. First, I want to say that there is an awesome thing about long-term relationships. There really is. There's an awesome thing about them, and that is that you really get to connect with someone on a deep level, and you get to experience what would be this interesting combination of friendship and intimacy at the exact same time. And it's a very unique experience that you may not be able to have if you are, not seeking out a long-term relationship. Only long-term relationships offer that type of unique experience. The experience where you can be with someone, you could say, hey, wow, this girl's my friend. This is like a girl that's a friend to me, like a buddy of mine. Like I enjoy spending time with her. And at the same time, I'm attracted to her and I get to be intimate with her. And you get to share that all together, all at once. And I just think that is one of the coolest things in the world, because you don't ever get to have that. When you're in a friendship with someone, even if it's a girl or a guy, that's pretty much as far as it goes. You guys are just friends, but there's something really different and unique and special about sharing this different type of bond. It's hard to really say that it's a friendship and you're being intimate. It's kind of its own thing. I guess, many people call it a relationship or a girlfriend or something like that. But I don't know. I like to break things down to its most common denominators. I like to just analyze things and pick things apart. And when I pick apart what a relationship is, it's so cool that it's this unique entity where it's like you want to jump this person's bones, but at the same time, you just love spending time with them. You love hanging out with them. You love doing things together. And when you guys are doing things together, you get to be, feeling those feelings of, I don't know, you might call them love or just the feeling of oxytocin or dopamine kind of running through your brain as you spend time with this person, where you don't get those feelings when you're spending that with a friend. Even if it's a girl that's just a friend, you don't get those same feelings. So this is a unique human experience that you get to have with someone else. And I'm sure that I don't need to really convince you of this. I'm sure that's probably one of the reasons why everyone wants to be with someone, whether it be physically or on an intimate level or, in a relationship. Another benefit of being in a long-term relationship is you get to learn a lot about who you are and the psychology of who you are. I don't know why, but I just have a feeling that there's no other blog post or podcast really talking about this idea. And what happens is when you're in a relationship, you end up playing out a lot of your psychological issues. And I don't mean mental health issues per se, unless you do have mental health issues, but really anyone and everyone has some sort of psychological issue, even if it's really, really small. We end up, being raised by our parents, and our parents didn't all do a perfect job, and that's okay. You're not going to do a perfect job either if you have a child. We're not perfect at it, so it's left with this human that is, trying to do its best, but sometimes there's some issues that happen. Those issues can be anywhere ranging from something as severe as anxiety or OCD or another type of mental illness, all the way from something small as maybe, your parents didn't pay enough attention to you when you were 3 years old, and that caused some sort of, trigger of loneliness inside of you when, a partner leaves for the day. Again, anything small to big. And what happens is you end up learning about your psychology more and more as you relate to other people, because that's what a lot of your psychology is. It's how you relate to others. Of course, that's not everything. It's also the idea of relating to yourself, but that brings me to that point either way. When you're in a relationship, you learn more about the relationship that you have, not only with the person, but yourself as well. And so why is this beneficial? Because it might sound kind of crazy. You might be thinking, well, Tripp, this sounds kind of crappy. It's like, well, I got to play out all my psychological issues. This doesn't sound fun. Well, it's not fun. I mean, in some cases, it's not that fun. But what's really cool is that this stuff is going to be happening anyways, and now you get a chance to play it out, and then you get a chance to fix it. So, I'll be real with you. I'm in a relationship now, and I've been in relationships where I've had to play out my psychological issues. And then what I do is I see a psychologist, also known as a therapist, and I work on those issues, and those issues pertain to things that might have happened in my childhood or the way things occurred when I was in my teens or even later on, right? We don't live in a perfect world. Things happen to us, and it's I know this sounds oddly optimistic, like it's cool that we get to go through pain, but it is. It's cool that we get to go through these experiences of relating to other people and then being able to find out what they are and then being able to fix them. So it's almost like an entry into personal growth. Not saying that you can't fix these things if you're not in a relationship. Of course you can fix those things if you're not. But here's what's very unique about being in a relationship versus any other type of relationship you might have. I'm talking about friends or family or coworkers, is that the intimate relationship you have with someone, a girlfriend or a wife for that matter, that relationship, like I said earlier, is different from any other relationship that you have, right? This person is signifying someone that would be as close to you as a parent. You're going to be experiencing emotions of love from this person. And who else did you experience love from? You experienced love from your parents, a very deep kind of love. Sure, you can love your friends, but you're not in love with your friends like you're in love with a girl. And you're not in the same love relationship with your parents that you are with anyone else, because it's a unique bond that we have, as mammals with our parents. So again, what happens here is because you are now in a relationship, this is going to bring out some of the things that might have happened in your childhood. And this is cool. This is stuff, we're getting into psychology here now. And if you're interested in this stuff, you can read more about it, or you can even see a therapist yourself. I've said a few times on podcasts or on YouTube videos that I'm very pro therapy. And again, I just want to really reiterate here that therapy does not have to be something that you go to if you have extreme mental health issues. No, yes, therapy is good for that, but therapy is good for anyone. I believe, and I was saying this the other day in conversation, that going to a therapist is the same thing as working out. Okay, as working out. When you go to the gym, you work out to strengthen your body. When you go to a therapist, you strengthen your mind. That's right. You need someone there to assist you in that. You need a professional in that. Now, of course, you can, with working out, you can do it without a professional, but you can learn that stuff online. But in order to work out the mind, it's much easier to do when you are there with another professional who's helping guide you, okay? Otherwise, you're going to have to learn a lot about psychology to get anywhere. But I should say this, even psychologists see psychologists. And even people who are intense training at the gym also work out with trainers. So it's never bad to get someone to help you out in that area. So, okay, let me go back to kind of what I'm saying here is the idea that one of the benefits of a long-term relationship is being able to find out more about yourself and how you relate to other people. And it's just a little bit more difficult, I believe, to learn those things when you're just on your own and single. And again, I'm not putting down being single. There's nothing wrong with that. In this episode, I'm just focusing on what the benefits are of being in a relationship. There's also benefits of being single too, right? Maybe I'll do another episode on that. But right now, I just want to focus on what this is. I guess I'm doing this podcast episode to do something different here because, a lot of guys find a lot of information online about how to pick up girls and how to, have sex with as many girls as possible. And I get that might be something that you want or something you're interested in, but there's no one really talking about the benefits of a relationship or why it's cool to get into a relationship. I don't think anyone really talks about that as much. And I don't know, maybe I'm the first guy or first dating coach to talk about it, but I think we're breaking new ground here. I don't want anyone to think that it's weird to get into a relationship when there's so much information out there that doesn't really talk about it. It's more talking about some of the other things. And again, I know I have a lot of videos and podcasts that talk about the dating world, but I only have that because I know that a lot of guys struggle more in the area of dating and getting into the relationship, and not as many guys are seeking out relationship advice, as a whole. I'd say this podcast episode is like this weird middle ground where I'm not talking about relationship advice. I'm not giving you dating advice. I'm really just talking about my opinion on what happens when you end up getting into that relationship. Another fairly obvious but need to be said benefit of a long-term relationship is being able to have a partner to do stuff with. Yes, you can have friends that you do stuff with all the time. But what ends up happening is as you get older, you find that more and more your friends end up getting into relationships or getting married and having kids. And if you're in your late 20s, in 30s, and even 40s, and you're listening to this podcast, you're finding that that's probably what's happening. And so it's not that you should get into a relationship and get married because everyone else is doing it. That would be the wrong reason to get into a relationship. You never want to do anything because everyone else does it. You want to do it because it's something that you want. But in this case, you might be lonely. And, as much as you might have a enjoyable time with yourself, it does get lonely every once in a while when you're alone. And you know what? I don't know. Maybe there's an exception out there. I'm sure there is. There's probably a lot of guys out there who don't get as lonely, but I think it's natural to get lonely because we're social beings. We're creatures that the second we were born, we were relating to a connection with another human being literally the second that it happens. That doesn't happen with, I believe, reptiles. Don't quote me on this, but I remember hearing there was some reptile, some amphibian of some sort, maybe it's a lizard, where the second they're born and the egg is hatched, that's it. Like there's no caring. Like the eggs were cared for to make sure that they hatch, but once they're hatched, the lizard's on the loose and it's fighting for survival and doing its own thing. Those type of animals, they don't need to be cared for and loved and relating to their mothers. That's just not in their biology, but it is in our biology as humans to relate to other people. I believe there is, again, I'm sorry if I'm killing on statistics here. I'm giving you wrong. These are correct at the end of the day, but I'm not giving you the correct details. But I know that people who also relate to other people and have friends in their older years end up living longer as well, which I think is, what's happening when you're in a marriage. Why you end up living longer is because you have this reason to survive. You're keeping your brain going, and you're not just sitting there wasting away, but you're actually relating to another human being, which is technically keeping you alive and giving you a reason to live because you want that. I've heard that when a older man, a man who's, in his elder years, when his wife passes away, he passes away shortly after. What's interesting here is that it's not the same in the reverse, is that when a husband passes away, the female widow, she ends up living longer. One of the theories is because, males are not as social as females. So when a male's wife dies, he's not as active as being proactive at being around people and relating to others and keeping up with their friendships. But females are more like that, so they end up surviving and being alive longer. So I hope that all makes sense. And again, if you want to check that out on the web, you can check that out. There are some studies that have shown that. Again, forgive me for butchering any details here, but I'm telling you, it's an interesting thing how our minds work, how our brains work in terms of relating to other people, and it's a very important thing, which again leads me back to the original topic here of why I really do believe that is one of the benefits of being in a long-term relationship is being able to do something with someone, to have a partner there. Another benefit that I'll say here that's connected to the last one I just said is that when you're with someone and it's a healthy relationship, something cool that happens is you end up becoming a better version of yourself just because you feel really good. Again, no science here behind it. I don't know what it is, but you just end up feeling good. You're feeling in love per se, and you feel good in the relationship. Again, this is if you're in a healthy relationship. If you're in a bad relationship, life can suck and you'll be the worst version of yourself. But if you're in a healthy one and things are going well, you become the best version of you. You feel motivated. You feel more alive. It makes you want to do better in life. I relate that to anything. If you're ever having a good day and things are going well, it sort of motivates you to be more productive, to do more, to keep that feeling going. There's something about feeling good that, makes you want to feel even better. That's probably the reason why people take drugs, because they feel good when they take them and then they want more to feel better. By the way, I am not condoning drugs at all. I believe that drugs are terrible and should not be taken to feel good, because what happens is that's not sustainable. You do drugs and you're going to need to do more and more and more, and then eventually you'll end up dying because you're addicted to them. What I'm talking about here is sustainable, healthy ways, natural ways of happiness, which is relating to other people, being in a relationship, being productive, working on the self, doing good at your job, working on your purpose in life, whatever that may be, whatever it is that your goals are, working on your personal hobbies and the things that you're good at, and just continuing to do those things that make you happy. And the more and more you do of them, the more you want to do more of that. And that kind of brings me back to this point here, is this idea of when you're in a relationship and it's healthy and it's good, you just want to do better, and it makes you want to be a better person. Not just what I was saying before, how you want to fix your psychology when you're aware of what's going on, but it just makes you want to be a better person for your partner. You want to be a better person for them, and you want to be a great partner with them. And if they want that too, then boom, you guys are just feeding off each other, and it's just this one explosion of personal growth, and it's really cool. I kind of want to know what you think about this. And it's upsetting that there's not really a comments section on the podcast. But if you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this on YouTube, write a comment below and let me know what you think of this. I want to have a conversation about this. What do you think? Do you believe that there are benefits to being in a long-term relationship? Or is it something that you're trying to stay away from? And if you're still listening, hopefully you have already checked out the review section of the podcast, because there I read out any new reviews that come in, and I'd like to hear from you in the review section. In fact, let's do something new here. In the review section, let me know what you want me to talk about. I'm here to answer your questions on dating and relationships, and I want to help you out. So let's use the review section as somewhere where you can tell me what your biggest struggle is and where I can help you out. But hopefully you've already looked through all the episodes, because if you don't already know, there's like almost 200 episodes of this podcast. And And yeah, there's a lot of good information to answer a lot of stuff, but maybe there's more that you're wanting to learn. So check that out in the review section and write me a review. I don't care if it's 1 star, 2 stars, or 5 stars, as long as it's the truth. If you hate this, let me know. If you love it, let me know. And to you who's listened to all my episodes or many of them, then it's your duty to leave me a review. You owe that to me. So go ahead and do that. Thank you for listening on today's episode of How to Talk to Girls. Hopefully you learned something, and excited to hear from you, hopefully in the comments or the reviews.